So welcome to this deep dive into the source material for today's massive V85 event. It is May 23, 2026, which means it's the eve of the legendary Elitloppet weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And we are looking at a staggering 41 million SEK jackpot today. So for you listening at home, our mission today is to just cut through all the noise. We got a massive stack of compiled notes, insider reports, and tactical consensus data.
A lot of data.
So much data. And we're going to go through all 8 races on the card, chronologically, V85-1 to V85-8, unpacking the heavy favorites, the challengers, and those hidden surprises, the Skreller, that keep popping up across all our sources.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that sets up a pretty brutal mathematical reality right out of the gate in the very first race.
It really does.
We're looking at V85-1, the mare division, handicap hurdles, and the overwhelming consensus favorite here is number 11, Official Socks.
Top form, blistering finishing speed.
Right, but there's a massive catch. She starts with a 20-meter handicap. And to me, like, on a track with a home stretch this short, starting 20 meters back sounds like a geometric impossibility.
It's tough.
I mean, it's like starting a 100-meter dash 3 steps behind the starting line. You weren't just making up distance in a straight line, right? Doesn't the track layout basically doom her?
Well, that's the trap most casual observers fall into, right? They think of 20 meters as just a flat, straight line distance. But at Gävle, making up a 20-meter deficit means you have to initiate your sprint much earlier to catch the pack.
Okay.
And that forces you out into the 3rd or even 4th lane while you're navigating the final turn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so while the front runners are hugging that inside rail, taking the shortest possible path, the horse in the back is actually running a significantly longer total distance. It is pure mathematical punishment.
Which completely explains why our sources are screaming about the challengers here. Like, look at number 6, Stella Tuma.
Ooh, massive surprise candidate.
Huge. Not just because she has hidden form, but because she starts from a spring spore.
It acts as an instant neutralizing force against the favorites. I mean, Stella Tuma hits the line with all this momentum, which means she can seize that inside rail position immediately. And once you have the rail at Gävle,
You dictate the race.
exactly, you dictate the pace.
And we also have to factor in number 8, Gävle, as a major threat. The notes specifically highlight her immense stamina and the fact that she's going to be running completely barefoot.
Yep.
We'll get into the biomechanics of the barefoot setup later. But her stamina could allow her to sustain that long, wide sprint that Official Socks might actually struggle with.
Yeah, but let's take that lane geometry problem from the first race and amplify it. Because if making up 20 meters around the outside of standard-bred mares is tough, trying to do it in the cold blood division is a totally different nightmare.
It really is. Moving into V85-2, the cold blood puzzle, the handicap dynamic, gets extreme. The favorite here is number 15, Tanno Tana, unquestionably one of Sweden's absolute best mares. The capacity is just off the charts. But she is facing a 40-meter handicap.
What's fascinating here is that a 40-meter deficit behind a field of cold bloods is not just a distance problem. It's a severe navigational bottleneck.
Because of their size.
Exactly. Cold bloods are physically wider and bulkier. When you pack 15 of them onto a track, they don't just create a draft line, they create a moving wall.
So it's like trying to pass a fleet of semi-trucks on a 1-lane highway.
That is exactly the right visualization. Tanno Tana could have all the speed in the world, but if she gets stuck behind that wall of draft horses, that 40 meters effectively feels like 80 meters. She needs a miracle opening in the traffic just to deploy her speed.
And the challengers up front are definitely not going to just move out of her way. You've got number 1, Noon Breeze, right?
Yeah.
A 12-year-old veteran from Norway who is incredibly fast out of the gate.
Very fast.
The tactical consensus we're seeing suggests she might just take the lead and run wire to wire. But then there's the ultimate wild card popping up in the analysis, number 8, Clippe 2. The sources point out she recently won under saddle in a Monte race.
Yeah, and Monte conditioning is fascinating. Racing under saddle builds a completely different type of core strength and endurance in a horse compared to pulling a sulky.
Really? Like a cross-training effect.
Exactly. When you take the heavy saddle off and put them back in the bike, they often experience this massive peak in form. Combine that with a top-tier driver like Carl-Johan Jeppson and racing barefoot, and Clippe 2 becomes a highly, highly dangerous variable.
Okay, so while traffic and physical bulk dominate the cold bloods, when we shift our focus to the younger horses in V85-3 Class 3, the entire tactical landscape changes.
It does.
The biggest variable here isn't navigating traffic, it's altering the physics of the horse itself.
We're talking about the ultimate high-risk lever a trainer can pull.
Right, the barefoot change. Looking at this third matchup, the favorite is number 2, Mr. Malabar, brother of the famous Mr. Hercules. For some context.
Good genes.
Great genes. And the massive news dominating the pre-race reports is that he will race entirely barefoot for the very first time. But I have to ask you, is taking the iron shoes off really the magic bullet it's made out to be?
Well,
because it seems like every time a horse needs a boost, the shoes come off.
you get pure uninhibited power, but you remove the stabilizing force. The horse's balance is suddenly radically different. So the risk of breaking stride and galloping skyrockets.
And the analysis notes that Mr. Malabar was already overly stressed in his last start.
Right.
So stripping his shoes off right now is a massive gamble.
Huge gamble. And he isn't the only one taking it. The challengers are right there with him. Number 6, RK Pascal, is also signaled to go barefoot for the first time.
And then you have number 7, Snickers, a horse with an injury history, but immense potential, and an undefeated record at Gävle.
Yeah, if Mr. Malabar spins out without his traction control, these challengers are perfectly positioned to capitalize. That tension between stability and raw speed is actually the defining narrative of the next major matchup, too.
Right. V85-4, the double coupon final. This might honestly be the clash of the day. You have a horse known for machine-like stability facing off against absolute unstable brilliance.
A classic matchup.
The favorite is number 13, Palmesis NO. He's riding a massive winning streak, developing into an elite trotter. The compiled notes essentially paint him as a steady freight train. He doesn't necessarily blow you away with acceleration, he just relentlessly wears you down.
He is the immovable object, but he is facing a highly volatile force in number 6, Remlov.
The sports car.
Exactly. Remlov is a pure speedster. The data shows he has won 8 out of his 10 races when he reaches the lead. If he hits the front on a track like Gävle, where the homestretch offers no time to catch up, Palmesis NO is going to have to work incredibly hard in the outer lanes to grind him down.
So who has the edge there?
Well, from a game theory perspective, Remlov holds the dominant tactical position. Controlling the rail on a fast track is always the safer statistical bet over a horse that has to grind from the outside.
Makes sense.
But the consensus across our sources is actually completely fractured here because of the ultimate wild card in the field.
Number 7, Stu Scarp. Stu Scarp is fascinating. The reports show he has galloped away a literal fortune in prize money throughout his career.
Oh, fortune.
He simply cannot keep his stride. But his raw engine capacity is described as unbelievable. And today, the trainers are basically throwing the kitchen sink at him. He might go barefoot, they're adding a pull hood to manage his psychological focus, and equipping him with a new aerodynamic racing bike.
And that racing bike fundamentally changes the draft profile, right? It changes how the driver's weight is distributed over the sulky wheels, which lifts pressure off the horse.
Wow.
If the pull hood keeps his mind right and the bike and barefoot setup optimize his gait, Stu Scarp has the raw power to outclass both the grinder and the speedster. The entire race hinges on whether he can just keep his composure for a few minutes.
Which brings us to the psychological breaking point of the day. We're moving from the physical limits of the horses to the desperate psychology of the drivers in V85-5, the Prince Daniels Lop.
The stakes here are insane.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This is the final E-Loppet. The winner gets a direct golden ticket to the legendary Alert Loppet.
And the pressure surrounding this race warps the standard decision-making process completely.
Look at the favorite, number 5, Keep Asking. He essentially needs a win here to secure that ticket. He has the speed to reach the lead, but he is up against absolute elite challengers.
Ferocious competition.
Number 10, Melby Jinx. Number 6, Kentucky River. But looking at the stakes, when everyone on that track is absolutely desperate for the Alert Loppet ticket, won't they all just drive like maniacs right out of the gate?
Yes. It mathematically guarantees what we call an overpace, a blistering, completely unsustainable early speed duel. When the stakes are this high, drivers let desperation override their tactical patience.
They just floor it.
They floor it. They will burn out their horses' engines in the first half of the race just fighting for the lead.
And if the frontrunners destroy each other early, who benefits from that?
The closers. A horse like Melby Jinx, starting from the back row. While the leaders are exhausting themselves, fighting the wind and fighting each other, Melby Jinx can just sit quietly in the slipstream, conserving energy.
Oh, I see.
By the time they hit that notoriously short final stretch, the leaders are running on fumes and the closer just slingshots right past them.
It is brilliant tactical patience taking advantage of everyone else's panic. And, that exact dynamic of a destructive speed duel bleeds right into V85-6, class the second, the clash of the undefeated.
Right, though in this case, it's not elite desperation causing the duel, it's a structural paradox.
Exactly. The favorite is number 3, Eagle of Oak. Fast out, perfectly positioned, and completely undefeated whenever he races in the lead. They are outfitting him with an American bike and racing him barefoot.
Going all in.
But the main challenger, number 2, Huchu Costco, presents this massive conflict in the sources. Huchu Costco is also undefeated from the lead, and he's also going barefoot for the first time. And they are starting right next to each other.
It's a textbook tactical nightmare for the favorites. You have two highly ambitious young horses who strictly rely on the lead to win. Their drivers both have explicit instructions to take the front.
Yeah.
When the gate leaves, they will inevitably lock horns. They'll expend massive amounts of energy fighting for that inside rail, creating an early speed duel that neither of them can sustain.
Which creates a beautiful vacuum for the rest of the field. Specifically, the data points to number 8, Golden Chronos. Now, normally at Gävle, starting all the way out in post position 8 is a tactical death sentence. You are forced out wide, running extra distance.
Under normal circumstances, yeah, you're doomed. But when the two inside favorites are guaranteed to destroy each other's stamina, post 8 becomes the perfect inheritance spot. Golden Chronos has immense capacity. If he just stays out of the early dogfight, he can sweep in and pick up all the pieces in the final quarter.
The favorite's greatest strength, their front-running speed, literally becomes their own undoing. It's fascinating. But while that race has a very predictable game theory trap, V85-7, Class 7, is pure, unadulterated statistical noise.
Oh, it is the most volatile puzzle on the entire card. Completely wide open.
The favorite is number 2, D'Artagnan Face. The intelligence on him is completely unified. He has massive overcapacity for this class. He is simply a superior athlete.
But
there's a glaring flaw. He has galloped and ruined his chances in 50% of his career starts. It is a literal coin flip whether he decides to race properly or completely lose his composure.
if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where betting markets and tactical value diverge entirely. When you have a heavy favorite who is that unstable, he absorbs a disproportionate amount of the public's confidence based purely on his potential.
Because everyone remembers how fast he is when he behaves.
Exactly, and that artificially depresses the value of the rest of the field.
So you aren't just betting against the favorite's speed. You are betting against his psychology.
Precisely. You are betting that the 50% failure rate holds up today. And when it does, it creates a massive value vacuum for the dark horses.
And the challengers stepping into that vacuum are incredibly tough.
Yeah.
Number 6, Williamson BB, is pinpointed as the likely early leader because of his extreme gate speed.
Yep.
But then you have horses like number 5, Chico de Calamar, who the reports say is absolutely due for a win after a heroic, grueling 3-wide run in his last outing. And number 11, Redley Broad, who just flew past the field to win his last start.
So much depth.
If D'Artagnan Face loses his stride, any of these dark horses are statistically primed to take the race.
It is a race decided entirely by the favorite's margin of error, which makes it chaotic.
Which is why it's almost a relief that the final matchup of the day, V85-8, bronze versus silver, finally provides a solid anchor. After all the chaos, the volatility, the coin flips, the compiled analysis, gives us a clear hierarchy to close out the event.
The grand finale is structurally designed to enforce that hierarchy, actually.
Right. The overwhelming consensus favorite is number 7, pole position. He recently clocked a blisteringly fast 11.0 time. He's racing barefoot, equipped with an American bike. He just towers over the field.
He's a monster.
They're capable challengers, sure. Number 5, the Flying Eagle, has 2 straight wins for a new trainer. Number 10, Frico, is inconsistent, but possesses massive peak performance levels. But to me, pole position seems like the final boss of a video game. He just seems inevitable. The only thing standing in his way is his starting position.
Because this race is a sport trappa.
So pole position, starting from post 7, is literally being punished by the track system for being superior.
Yes.
He is forced to run extra distance around the outside to prove he truly is the best.
Yeah.
He isn't just racing the other horses, he's racing the handicap of his own success.
Exactly. And on Gävle's fast track, with that notoriously short home stretch, overcoming post 7 requires a monumental effort. He will have to rely entirely on raw power to crush the field from the outside.
Wow. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We will catch you next time.